When Google announced the business agents for leads at GML, I immediately reacted and I whispered to my friend sitting next to me, wow, is Google going for the CRM space? Are they basically just building a lightweight CRM? That was my gut reaction in the moment. And then I came home, and as you know, I flew 4 hours from Ohio to Mountain View, well, technically to San Francisco. And on my way home, I was thinking about it and I started reading the product page and was asking myself about 10,000 times, what is this? And I came up with a theory, and it's a different theory. And I think it's more interesting than my CRM take, because I think as a Google ad strategist and someone who is teaching clients how to run their own Google ads, how to bring ads in-house, stick with me because I'm always asking why. And one thing that a fellow Google ads expert said to me this week, and she was kind of talking about her perspective, and she was saying, one thing we have to keep in mind is Google, right? And I mean, the people at Google, the team that is making all these announcements, they know their roadmap. They know where things are heading. And sometimes they have to do things to get where they're going to. And so I always have to think to myself, why, and just continue to ask that question so then I could give my clients the best possible experience in my consultancy. So stick with me. This one's actually going to be about what's been broken in lead gen for years and why I believe that Google is finally deciding to fix it. And guess what, you guys? It's probably not all for us. Even if we benefit from us, I think Google is always going to be serving themselves first and foremost. They are a for-profit company after all. So I think that we have to be real. Lead gen advertisers have been watching retail get upgrade after upgrade for years now, years. And so we think about AI Max for shopping, the feed attributes, AI-powered creative, conversational search integrations. It always feels like every single thing is geared to retail, and it has been for years. We had Performance Max, which was a product that was absolutely built around e-commerce, and then lead gen just either had to try it or not, and it really wasn't built for e-commerce. And then you had YouTube, and with YouTube, you started getting all the new shopping feed formats below YouTube campaigns, and it really always felt like retail, and B2B was left out, lead gen was left out. It just never really has been where retail has been. And so the whole time, lead gen and my B2B friends, when I work in B2B myself, we've all been asking, did Google forget about B2B? What about lead gen? And this year at GML 2026, we have something. Anyway, I am Sarah. I am a Google Ads consultant and trainer. I've had 17 years of experience. I was at Google Marketing Live in person. And this video is really going to be a deep dive on this specific announcement that I just think deserves way more attention than it's getting. After they made the announcement, I got to go to a breakout session that was just about this. And I think it was really helpful for me to get even more clarity about this product in particular, feature. The business agent for leads. So what is the business agent? Because Google always comes up with these names, and sometimes they just rebrand things and it can be confusing, and I don't blame you. I believe confusion is sometimes just goes with this territory. So what did Google actually announce in this name? The business agent for leads is a conversational AI experience that engages prospects directly in search. So when someone searches for your business or your service, they're typing something into Google. Instead of just seeing your ad like the old days and clicking through to your landing page, they can actually have a conversation with an AI agent. And I know this sounds scary. This sounds horrible. This sounds like you have a salesperson right on the SERP. But I think it's going to work out better than that. But I still want to talk about it. So again, right there in the search experience, they're able to have a conversation with this quote unquote agent. The agent answers their question and it essentially is qualifying them. It captures their information, and all of this happens before they ever reach your sales team. So looking at Google's product page, it lists 4 benefits: capture leads 24/7, reduce sales friction, standardize brand messaging, and streamlined lead qualification. And here's where I really want to go deeper, because reading into each of those 4 things, I think they're not just the features. They have a strategic meaning that I think tells a much deeper story about where Google is headed here. And again, these are all my opinions. You can disagree or not. That is your call. That is why I make these videos. So my theory. Let me walk through how I landed on my theory. So when I looked at what Business Agent actually does, I started to notice a pattern. And this pattern points to something bigger than a CRM or a lead capture tool. Lead gen, as we know it, is messy. Every single advertiser has a different form. They have a different funnel, a different CRM, and every business has a different definition of what a good lead is, even an offline conversion setup. And they have different sales cycles. Every single thing in lead generation is different versus e-commerce. You just pay. Even if it's different prices, at the end of the day, you're paying online, which is a much, much, much cleaner signal. So what happens with Google Ads? They cannot train the AI on that chaos. Google Ads doesn't have enough consistent data, and it's not comparable or structured across the whole entire category. Shopping, by contrast, obviously has the product feed situation. They have standardized data. They have clean signals. That's why AI has worked so well in retail. The data foundation was really already there at the beginning. I mean, how often do you hear of an e-commerce client that can't capture the price of their goods and the cost of the conversion? They can absolutely capture that because they're capturing it to make the sale on the website. And lead gen, it never had that. Lead gen has a form and a hope, a form and an out. Lead gen has a form and crossing your fingers, hoping for the best situation. And that's really not enough data for Google's AI to learn. So here's my theory. Google built the business agent to create that missing layer, a lead feed, so to speak, by turning every single conversation into machine-readable signals, structured fields, qualification answers, intent categories, lead scoring inputs. Google Ads is finally getting the data density that it needs to optimize lead gen in the same way that optimize retail. And if it starts to work and really work and they're able to optimize it with their AI, guess what? We're going to spend more money there because we will actually feel the fact that the ad platform is working for us. I believe this is the same playbook as AI Max for shopping. Shopping lacked the conversational intent coverage, and AI Max helped fix that by opening up all those queries and all that context, not necessarily those keywords that we were bidding on. Lead gen, on the other hand, lacks structured qualification data. And the business agent is essentially doing that same thing for lead gen. So no, this isn't Google trying to replace your CRM or your salespeople. This is Google Ads future-proofing lead generation for the AI era. So I want to make sure that this part lands because I believe this is the key to understanding the entire announcement. Let me walk you through the 3 structural problems right now that have made lead gen data so hard to use. Problem 1. Let's call it the broken conversion funnel. A Google Ads account might generate hundreds of form fills, but a tiny fraction of those have actually turned into book meetings, qualified leads, and eventually closed deals. And then the volume just shrinks so drastically at each stage that the algorithm struggles to get anywhere. And in most cases, the algorithm can't even optimize for the things that actually drive revenue. There's just not enough data at the bottom of the funnel when it comes to lead gen. Problem 2, I'm going to call the data scarcity paradox. To get more data, advertisers move up and up the funnel. That's the advice we've been given. I've written articles about it. But every time you're optimizing for a softer action that you probably don't necessarily want, form fills, PDFs, downloads, the algorithm likes those things, but then the algorithm gets trained on these softer signals, and then the quality starts to diminish. And so it's sending more and more people who will fill out the forms and never essentially buy. You end up with a flood of low quality leads, and you're just doing that to keep data flowing. And it's just really a vicious cycle. Not to mention the fact that you're double counting throughout the whole thing. When you move, a little bit further up the funnel to capture that lead, you have a form fill. Well, the form filled folks are the same people that had the marketing meeting. Those are the same people. And so you're double counting when you start to get further to where you want it to. It's just a lot of problems and messy chaos in lead gen. And so the third problem is just extreme variance. And I talk about this across, all of lead gen from business to business. But when we're talking about lead gen, it's inherently unpredictable. I mean, ask me, I work in a lead gen business. One week you might get 5 really high value enterprise meetings. Sometimes I'll get like 5, 10 meetings a week, but other weeks it'll just be quiet. Or I'll have 2 weeks of nothing. Maybe one blog post hit and got extra traction, or one video hit. And that erratic data really, really confuses the algorithms, and especially the automated bid strategies, which we're all having to use now. like the target CPA is causing campaigns to wildly overspend or choke delivery another day. Now, think about what a conversational AI agent does differently. Instead of one data point per user, you're essentially getting thousands of micro signals every single day as these questions are being asked and answers are being given. These qualification steps can be completed. Intent is demonstrated in real time. That is the data density that Google's AI has been missing in lead gen. And they've been missing it for years. And that's what the business agent is designed to create. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go through Google Ads 4 listed benefits because I think each one has a deeper meaning worth naming. Capture leads 24/7. This isn't about convenience. It's about creating more volume, more interactions, more signals for the ad platform, and more data for the AI to learn from. Reduce sales friction. Again, this is about keeping users inside of Google. As the AI as mode grows and fewer users click through a landing page, Google needs advertisers to stay in the ecosystem. The business agent keeps prospects inside the search experience, which protects Google's revenue model as the clickouts are declining for advertisers. Also, another thing is they highlight that they'll standardize brand messaging. So I think this one is Google acknowledging the advertiser's anxiety about AI hallucinating and saying something wrong. By not grounding the agent in your website content, or I'm sorry, by Google grounding the agent in your website content, Google is essentially saying the AI won't make things up because it's only pulling from what's on your website. So it's only going to take from what you've already published. That's a trust building move, especially in a regulated vertical like a legal, medical, financial, or home services that still rely on leads. And then lastly, streamlining lead qualification. I think this is the big one here. And I want to be direct about it. Google isn't primarily doing this to help your sales team. They're doing it to help their AI. Cation questions, create structured fields, consistent patterns, comparable signals, and all the things that make lead generation trainable. This is the data that Google has been missing for years. Now, here's the thing. I believe that this is a net positive for lead gen. I think my lead gen customers are going to be happy. I can't wait to test it on one of the accounts that I'm consulting to. I really, really believe this is going to be net positive. But I also think that there are real risks that you need to keep your eyes open about if this is something that you want to go into. I absolutely think it's worth setting up a call with me, of course. So I think the risk is what I'm going to call the Performance Max and AI Max text. Based on the early documentation from GML, the business agent cannot be deployed through traditional manual keyword search campaigns. It requires Performance Max or the new AI Max for search. That matters because PMax has a well-documented history with lead gen. It optimizes for the easiest conversion action that it can find, which almost always is obviously a form fill, and that doesn't always care about those form fills that are actually good quality leads. So if you layer on the business agent on top of a PMax without a solid account structure and data quality, you risk generating conversational microsignals from people who have zero intent to buy. So just beware. The second risk I see is a site content bottleneck. The business agent is going to be grounded in your website content. And I talked about this in the last post, and it was I thought it was a video. Maybe I said this in my video, but I definitely said it on my blog post. All of this is grounded in your website content. And I think that's a good thing for accuracy because it won't make things up, but it also means the agent is only as good as your website, your source material. So if your landing pages are vague, sparse, or don't address specific questions that your prospects might have, then you're running the risk of the agent giving surface level unhelpful answers, bad answers, and bad website content is going to generate a bad AI conversation. And I would say the third risk is that CRM gap, what I thought this could possibly be. When the agent captures the lead, it collects the entire conversation history, not just contact information. But if your CRM isn't set up to ingest the data, then you might be lacking it, and your sales team is going to get a lead notification with no context. They're going to end up asking the prospect the same questions that the AI just asked them, which it defeats the entire purpose and destroys the experience for the user. So make sure your CRM integration is configured before you turn this on, not after. So what is the bigger picture here? Because I think that is important. Here's what I want you to take away from the video today. This is the next era of search advertising. And I'm not saying that just to sound like a buzzword. The next era is here. We're in the new era. We're always in a new era. Things are always changing in Google Ads, in paid search, in PPC. So this isn't just about forms, funnels, landing pages in the traditional sense. It's going to be about structured conversation, intense signals, and the qualifications happening directly inside the Google experience. I have very, very, very well educated, connected fellow PPC experts that are saying the landing page is dead. I don't know that I would go that far today, but I would say this feels like Google taking more away from that landing page. I believe that lead gen is entering some of the same transformation that we've seen in retail and just gone through, from keywords to intent, from forms to conversations, from manual qualification to AI qualification, from conversation scarcity to conversational abundance. I really, really think that the advertisers who prepare for the shift now and who are listening to my channel, who are consulting with me, who have cleaned websites, who fix their CRM integrations, who understand what structured data even means and what that means for their campaigns, they're going to be the ones who are going to benefit when this fully rolls out. I don't think lead gen was ignored at this GML. I heard the announcement live in the room, and I can tell you, lead generation was not deprioritized in 2026. It just needed a different type of infrastructure, but I now feel like Google Ads is prepared with, and they're finally building it. So all of that said, if you want to read the full breakdown of this, including the section on why I think Performance Max is part of the problem here and how Business Agent is essentially a patch on PMAX without rebuilding PMAX, I've detailed it in the blog post that I will link in the description here. Everything is in there. And I put all my best work writer first on my blog. But I did want, especially in the time of GML, when everything's being released, to get these videos out because I could get them out a little faster than I can writing, but you can read everything on my blog. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, reach out to me everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm here, I'm there. You guys know how to reach me. Thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't seen my GML series, I will be making video after video covering the whole event, ads and AI mode, the announcements that mattered more than I think the headlines are saying, and what all this means for your business. Subscribe if you don't want to miss what comes next. Drop your questions about the business agent in the comments. I genuinely read and respond to all the comments. I don't have that many comments at this point in time, so I get back to everyone. And if there's a follow-up worth making, I will make it exactly for you. I'll see you in the next one.